The 2023 racing season looks like it's going to belong to Red Bull team, but if anyone can stop them, it might be themselves. The Saudi Arabia race showed us that Perez is tired of listening to team orders, something he's been doing a lot in the past 2 seasons. Now we might see a real fight between Verstappen and Perez for the rest of the season. Now that the Mexican driver has shown he's tough, will Red Bull let both drivers really race against each other? Verstappen's biggest worry might come true now that Perez has proven he can really fight for the championship. After all, watching the Dutch driver win everything has really bothered Perez. After Red Bull said they found a perfect solution that will work for both drivers, everything suddenly changed. This was clear when Perez tried to get the fastest lap on the last lap of the race, even after his team told him to just cruise to the win and bring home first and second place. You don't become a 2-time world champion by listening to team orders though. For the first time ever, we saw that Perez could keep up his speed way ahead of us. The Mexican driver was never in danger of losing the lead at any point in the race. This gives us lots of hope for the rest of the season. Let me tell you why this could happen. It might be because Perez is known as the king of city racetracks. He won the pole position at this same place last year and saw his race ruined by bad luck during pit stops when the safety car came out right after he left the pits. But the 2023 version of the race went totally in Perez's favor. He took the lead early from Alonso and never looked back. The last few laps of the race proved that the tension between him and Verstappen is far from being fixed. Before Dad had a blank and empty look as Perez celebrated with his engineering team. It was clear that something is still wrong between these two. Verstappen was told that the team wasn't interested in the fastest lap, and the Dutch driver replied, "Yes, but I am." What does this tell us? When Perez asked what time Verstappen was doing after he was told to keep a 1:33 lap time, his engineer said 1 minute 32 seconds and 6 milliseconds. This was very confusing for the 5-time race winner. Why would the team ask him to go 0.4 of a second slower than Verstappen? After Verstappen took the fastest lap from Perez on the last lap of the race, he's leading the Drivers' Championship ahead of the Mexican driver by just 1 point. That 1 point comes from his extra effort on lap 50 in Jeddah. At this point, we have to praise Verstappen's competitive spirit. Once your team gives you certain commands, there comes a time when you have to obey and accept that not every race will go your way. We're getting 2016 Mercedes vibes here. According to a Spanish sports newspaper, after the first and second finish of the Austrian team, the 2023 championship will definitely be highlighted by the internal battle between Perez and Verstappen. The Red Bull race car is from another planet. The 2023 World Championship will be an internal fight between Verstappen and Perez. At least this battle guarantees that after just 2 races, this World Championship won't be boring. Right now it's only Aston Martin that can somehow present a challenge to Red Bull, even though they're far from having that long-run speed to beat the RB19 car. So with no one actually showing themselves as a real threat to Red Bull, is there any way we'll see the Austrian teams to drivers having a real fight with each other? Let me explain. The team boss believes that everything that happened in Jeddah was normal, with Perez asking the team to stop pushing without any reason and Verstappen taking the fastest lap from his teammate on the last lap of the race. About the second situation, the team boss commented, "Max asked what the fastest lap was, so it was clear he was going to try. And Checo knew that too because he'd also tried on the last lap but gave up after a few corners because he was already way below his fastest time." But during the celebration we could see that the situation at Red Bull was anything but normal. The fact that Jos Verstappen and Max's manager Raymond ignored Perez's victory celebrations immediately got people talking that Perez could very well be challenged for the championship, but this time for real. One huge reason this might turn out to be the likely path that Red Bull will take in 2023 is that the team announced not too long ago that they found a solution for both Verstappen and Perez in terms of car performance. If you remember, in 2022 Perez did appear to be the faster driver compared to Verstappen in some of the qualifying sessions at the start of the season, but after the car started getting upgrade after upgrade, Perez fell back to fighting with Mercedes and Ferrari and just couldn't keep up with the Dutch driver. Earlier this season, more precisely during the preseason testing in Bahrain, a team member said that the team was able to work on a solution that would fit both Perez and Verstappen. Therefore, the competitiveness from both of them would increase a lot. This has been seen from the qualifying laps that Perez has put in at Jeddah and in Bahrain. Even though he wasn't as close to Verstappen as he would have wanted in Bahrain, the Jeddah pace showed that he isn't planning to step down anytime soon. On the other hand, Verstappen has warned his team that he isn't here to finish second. Even though the team results from the first 2 races are nothing short of amazing, he isn't happy with it. When talking about it, he went on to add, "I got back to second, which is good, and in general the whole feeling in the team is happy. Personally, I am not happy. I'm not here to be second, especially when you're working very hard back at the factory to come here in good shape and make sure everything is perfect. When you're fighting for a championship but it looks like it's just between 2 cars, you have to make sure the 2 cars are reliable. We have to do better, absolutely. A cleaner weekend would be nice. We are allowed to race so the best man will finish in front. With Hamilton saying that he's never seen a car as fast as the RB19, it's clear that the only rivals Red Bull drivers will have will be the ones that sit next to each other in the garage. With that in mind, there is something else that Red Bull needs to pay attention to, and that's the sporting penalty. But why could this change the entire current domination from Red Bull? Even though the rest of the teams seem to be less competitive now, upgrades are coming as early as Baku and Imola, with Mercedes admitting to copying the design of the RB19 to be competitive again. Red Bull may face some tough competition in the near future. If there's one thing that Mercedes can use to challenge Red Bull, that would definitely be the time they have to spend in the wind tunnel facilities. However, the British-based team is now so far behind that it's very difficult to see them beating Red Bull. Although in Jeddah we saw that the small improvements on that car turned out to be very good ones in terms of beating Ferrari at least. If Perez wants to win the championship, he definitely needs to start a civil war within the team. We can't help but wonder, will this end in a similar situation as it did for Mercedes back in 2016? The team chemistry being brought to zero and Perez eventually being forced to retire or leave the team due to the conditions at Red Bull after the chaos in 2023 are real things that are threatening to happen at Red Bull. While we don't want to jump to conclusions right away, given the fact that Perez has always stepped up his game on street circuits, the pace that he showed in Jeddah is one that Verstappen cannot just ignore. This may be the #1 reason why he voiced unhappiness with Red Bull and how they treated both cars during the race. The race from the Dutch driver was nothing short of perfect, with him almost breaking Alonso's Crashgate record when the Spaniard won the race after starting 15th place. But again, it wasn't enough, and at the end he had to be satisfied with the fastest lap of the race. With that in mind, it's going to be a very interesting season ahead of us. While we hope that both drivers won't crash into each other like Rosberg and Hamilton did back in Barcelona in 2016, we certainly hope the championship battle will be an interesting one and not done and finished with 6 races to spare in the championship. So with Red Bull absolutely dominating the 2023 season so far, we're not sure if there are any teams that could challenge them in the near future. One thing that could definitely change everything is the budget cap penalty. For that we'll have to wait and see what exactly happens. What do you think? Will the battle between Verstappen and Perez continue this season, or will Red Bull still develop the car towards Verstappen's side? Also, we will have to see how Perez performs on non-street circuit tracks. Let me know in the comments what you think and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Bye for now. Thank you.